I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture. I like to combine theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. Previously, I spent the day at Canada's Wonderland getting to ride some excellent coasters like Leviathan and Yukon Striker, while also hitting a personal milestone, riding my 1000th roller coaster. Next, it's on to the last day in Ontario, which includes a stop to see the world-famous Niagara Falls, followed by a visit to the Sea Life Park Marineland, home to a unique looping coaster. Then, before catching a flight to Halifax, I made my way to the town of Paris, Ontario to visit the Paris Fair in hopes of finding another coaster credit. So I've just made it to the Niagara Falls area on the Canada side of the falls, and I gotta tell you, the level of touristiness of this place is incredible. Took a right turn off of Main Road here alongside of the river, and I didn't realize there were so many of these like touristy attractions here. You know, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Guinness World Record Museum. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are here, all kinds of restaurants. While I could probably spend a whole day exploring all of these, there's really one main reason for coming to this part of the area, and that is for the actual Niagara Falls themselves. If you're visiting the tourist part of Niagara Falls, going to see the actual falls is not far at all, as it can be easily reached by foot. Upon first glance, you can already tell that you're getting an excellent view of Niagara Falls from the Canadian side, especially for the American Falls. Further upstream, you can see Horseshoe Falls, which is the larger of the two and has more of a curved shape. The Canadian side offers a number of places for excellent photographs from various decks. And you could stay at one of their nearby hotels or visit their observation tower for a higher angle. There's a walkway that extends for much of the length of the river between the two falls and beyond. This can give you additional viewing locations just in case you want to change your angle for pictures. Of course, Niagara Falls is also famous for their boat rides that take you up close and personal to the falls, with boats that depart from either the American or Canadian side of the river. This was certainly an excellent way to start the day. So I gotta admit, the views of Niagara Falls are incredible. Absolutely love getting a chance to see this majestic waterfall. You know, there are the two falls. I haven't seen it from the American side, but I can see why people would say that they really enjoy the Canadian side, because you get pretty much clear, open views of both falls. And so it definitely makes sense to come over to the Canadian side if you have the ability to do so you could really appreciate the majesty of these falls. It is absolutely fantastic. It's not much of a drive from the main tourist area of Niagara Falls to get to Marineland. In some respects, you can think of this as Canada's SeaWorld, as they offer a combination of rides and sea life exhibits. As I was only spending a certain amount of time here, I didn't see any of the shows, but they are available for those visiting the park. Near the front left corner of the park, there are several rides that are more suited to families and children, many of which have animal and sea themes. The main reason I came to this area was for the first coaster of the day, the Ladybug Coaster. This is a smaller Zaire Tivoli coaster that gives several laps with each ride cycle. Continuing further into the park,
there's one thing that becomes very apparent about this place.
One of the things that's been mentioned about this park is its incredibly huge size. It takes a lot of walking to get around, so we're going to find out just how much walking is required to get coaster number 2.
While it is nice that they have retained many of the trees in the park, there is a lot of dead space between attractions. This felt like someone who started a park and roller coaster tycoon and is still waiting for enough money to build more rides. After walking a while, I did notice the fairly new Polar Splash water play area. This water play structure is close to the Friendship Cove area, where you'll find some of the featured sea life of the park. In these waters, you'll find beluga whales. These guys were quite active and talkative. Friendship Cove also has a lower deck where you have the ability to see these belugas underwater through the windows. Next door there was an orca whale, a species I enjoy as they can be found in the Puget Sound back home in Washington State. In the past, this park was once home to Keiko, the whale made famous in the movie Free Willy, before he was sent to Mexico, where he was located during the filming of the movie. After seeing the whales, it was time to continue exploring.
Considering how big this place is, that train may not be such a bad idea to take advantage a little bit later to save some walking today.
Toward the back of the park, you'll find several larger rides. Past this ride area, you'll find even more beluga whales.
Yeah, I remember as a kid back in the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma, we used to go and see the beluga whales all the time, and unfortunately they had a couple of whales that had gotten some kind of an infection that unfortunately took their lives. They no longer have the belugas at Point Defiance, and so it's kind of neat to come here to Marineland and be able to see the belugas again.
While sea life is a prominent feature of the park, there are some land-based animals as well. They have a number of bears that people can see whether they're wrestling with their friends, taking a swim, or catching a nap in the midday sun. The other coaster in the park is their custom Aero looper, Dragon Mountain. This ride is located in the far back corner of the park, and while the theming for this ride has never really been fully completed, it still has some of the coolest entrance buildings and sculptures. The coaster starts inside of the hill, and it might be one of the most interesting layouts for an Aero looper, featuring 2 loops and a bow tie inversion near the end, as it utilizes the hill it rides on and around. But it also has some long and slightly curved turns that make it feel a lot like jet coasters you would find in Japan.
Just got off of Dragon Mountain, and that was a really unique coaster, definitely the must-do ride at the park. And I love the way that the ride takes advantage of its terrain as it goes through the mountain for some underground tunnels, and it really takes advantage of that long first lift hill as it will progressively work its way down the mountain until it gets to the bottom.
With Dragon Mountain being near the back, it can take a while to reach the exit if you make it your last ride in the park.
Oh, Judas Priest, this park is enormous.
On the way back to the Toronto area, the Paris Fair in Paris, Ontario was hosting a preview day as the actual fair would begin the following day. So not all the exhibits and animals were available to see. Rather, it was a chance for folks to come and ride some rides. The rides were provided by Campbell Amusements, and as a special of the preview day, every ride was $2, making it Toonie Day. If you're not familiar with the meaning of toonie, that's the nickname of Canada's $2 coin. Those wanting to take advantage of this deal had a pretty good selection of rides to choose from. Of course, my hope was that I would find another coaster credit here. Yep, one last shameless coaster credit before leaving Ontario. Once this credit stop was done, it was time to hop back aboard another WestJet flight. This time to Halifax.
Welcome to Halifax. The local time is 12:57 a.m. On behalf of the crew, thank you for including us in your travel plans. We wish you a warm welcome home, a great stay in the Halifax area, or a safe and pleasant journey to your next destination. Thanks for choosing WestJet. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you for watching this Coastin' with Culture video. If you'd like to see future videos about combining theme park visits and cultural experiences, please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. You'll also find Coastin' with Culture on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, plus more content at coastingwithculture.com. Until next time, take care and safe travels.